Gopi Jana Vallabha Joy Giridharadhari Joy Giridharadhari Joy Giridharadhari Jashodanandana Joy Brajajana Ranjana Joy Brajajana Ranjana Joy Brajajana Ranjana Joy Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Joy Kunjabi Hare Joy Jamuna Tira Banachari Joy Kunjabi Hare Kunjabi Hare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivashari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Ashtatara Sushamarchala Abhay Charana Rabinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki ISKCON Pratishtata Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada ki Anantakuri Vaishnava Vrinda ki Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Navadip Mayapur Dham ki. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Shitanata Brahmanande. Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Shagarajatam Shahagana Raganatam Vitangtang Shajibam Shadaitam Shavadutam Parichana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Vadan Shahagana Lalita Shibishakam Vitangsha Mantra Guru Ajota Shika Guru Ganta Chodane Agikariya Vandan Panchakalpa Drubhyascha Kripashinda Bacha Poditanam Pavaneba Vaishnava Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudamani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shandavari Pashtata Desha Tarine Srila Prabhupada ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Dharma Prauchita Kaidava Atra Paramanya Namat Sananam Satam Vedam Vashnava Drashtu Shivaram Tapatroy Unmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite King Vaipara Ishvara Shadda Ridi Avarudyate Atra Kritibi Shushabat Takshanat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya I'm sorry, I have wrong glasses. I may make some mistakes, I'm sorry. Yudhiṣṭhira Hastinapure Mashan Katipayan Hari Suridam Cha Vishakaya Swashuscha Priya Kamyaya. Please chant. Mothers, Yudhiṣṭhira staying Hastinapure, in the city of Hastinapur. Mashan, months. Katipayan, a few. Harid, Lord Shri Krishna. Suridam, relatives. Cha, also. Vishokaya, for pacifying them. Swasu, the sister. Cha, and Priya Kamyaya, for pleasing. I've been requested to read text 6 and 7, so I'll go back to text 6. Text 6 per translation. Because the kings, having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excessive heat or cold. Purport: to be non-violent to human beings and to be the killer or enemy of the poor animals is Satan's philosophy. In this age, there is enmity toward poor animals, and therefore the poor creatures are always anxious. The reaction of the poor animals is being forced on human society. The reaction of the mistreatment of the poor animals is being forced on human society. Prabhupada, this is written 60 years ago. And now we are seeing this virus is due to the what does Prabhupada say? The enmity toward the poor animals. Exactly. The scientists are saying, and Prabhupada said 60 years ago, enmity toward the poor animals will therefore, Prabhupada said, that the reaction is being forced upon human society. Forced. We're forced. You can't go outside. It's forced. It's Prabhupada's world Acharya. Prabhupada ki. So chant Hare Krishna. The reaction of the poor animals is being forced upon human society. And therefore there is always the strain of cold or hot war between men, individual, collectively or nationally. At the time of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, there were no different nations, although there were different subordinate states. The whole world was united, and the supreme head, being a trained king like Yudhiṣṭhira, kept all the inhabitants free from anxiety, diseases, and excessive heat and cold. They were not only economically well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed. By supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbance of bodily and mental agonies. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom and a bad housewife spoils the family. This truth is applicable here also, because the king was pious and obedient to the Lord and sages, because he was no one's enemy, and because he was a recognized agent of the Lord and therefore protected by him. All the citizens under the king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by the Lord and his authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. There is full cooperation between man and God and man and nature, and this conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by King Yudhiṣṭhira, can bring about happiness, peace and prosperity all over the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. Text 7. Lord Srihari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided in Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister, Subhadra. Purport. Krishna was to start for Dwarka, his own kingdom, after the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhiṣṭhira being enthroned, but to oblige the request of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira and to show special mercy to Bhishmadev, Lord Sri Krishna stopped in Hastinapura, the capital of the Pandavas. The Lord decided to stay especially to pacify the aggrieved king, as well as to please Subhadra, the sister of the Lord, Lord Sri Krishna. Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son, Abhimanyu, who was just matured. Just married, sorry. The boy left his wife, Uttara, mother of Mahārāja Pariksit. The boy left his wife. The Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotees in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. The Lord is absolute. Mukam kardi bachalam pangam langaite girim chat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Denatarinam. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. Only his devotees. Gaudangera shongi gone neta shidha korimone. Shilanartam Thakur Mahashai, he says that Gaurangir Shangigan, the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaurangir Shangi, Nitya Siddha, Korimane. They're all eternal associates. Just like those Brahmins that were bathing on the bank of the Ganga every day. And they were unable to properly take their bath. Of course, the Ghats, the Mayapur Ghats, that is where the civilization was centered. There was no, in a time of Mahaprabhu's appearance, there was not running water in your apartment, go and take a shower. Everyone was going to the Ganga collecting water. There were renunciates, there were Brahmins, there were aristocratic social leaders, there were pundits, there were students, there were mothers, everybody. Navadip Shampati K Borni Bare Pare. Who can describe the glories of Navadip, the opulence of Navadip? Dham. Ek Ganga Ghate Lok Lok Shnan Kore. According to Srila Vrindavana's Thakur, 100,000 people were bathing in each ghat. Ek Ganga Ghate Lok Lok Shnan Kore. So that was the, you could say, center of social activity. We could say here in our Navadip, Iskon Mayapur, Chandradaya Mandir, society, the temple is the center of activity. Everybody comes to the temple, you meet at the temple. And perhaps Manik Dokan. There's some social place there. But the temple. But in Navadip, everyone was living on bank of the Ganga, everybody was bathing in the Ganga, everybody. And of course, this is the arena, the stage. And he would spend 2 or 3 hours, Sachinandan, Ganga Jal Kela, playing in the Ganga. And those Brahmins, they all gathered together. They couldn't take their bath. And they went to Jagannath Mishra, they all gathered together in a group. They went to Jagannath Mishra and said, we're unable to take our bath. We have to take bath 3 or 4 times. You come out of taking bath, he spits water on us, he throws sand on us, he scatters all the puja ingredients, he sits on the ashan, he eats the offering, he laughs and says that I am the avatar for the age, you offer everything to me. So frustrated, the Brahmins, they all go to Jagannath Mishra, and then one after another they're making their complaints. And then they say, we have said how your child behaves, and Jagannath Mishra is simply sitting, listening to everything. And he goes to the Ganga looking for Nimai. Nimai's not there. Having made their complaints, they went back to Ganga to try to take their bath. And Jagannath Mishra, he's looking up and down the Ganga, angry. Where is Nimai? And the boys said, he hasn't come today. So at that time, the Brahmins, they actually said that actually we're quite happy. They saw him in the angry mood. And they said, actually, we're quite happy that... we get this association with Nimai. They said, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They said, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They said that. They said, Prabhu Sheba, you're engaged in this, in your to have a son like him. They said. So, they're Nitya Siddha. And Vrindavana Thakur says, all of those Brahmins who were taking bath, they're Nitya Siddha. They're eternal associates. They appear in Navadip just to be there, just to give some facility for Nimai to play games when he takes his bath. That is their eternal constitutional position. I mean, that's enough. That's enough. It's not that after that they go on with their lives. They teach, they're Brahmins, they got wives, they got children. But they're eternal associates. And they come just to be there at the Ganga. And you say, well, that's just in the childhood pastimes. Whatever about there. But it's Nitya Lila. It's Nitya Lila. It's not that it happens occasionally. It's going on all the time. It's going on all the time. That's why we come here, because it's going on all the time here. We can't see. It's Nitya Lila. Gaurangi Nitya Lila. What is that? Gaurangira gunete jure Nitya Lila taresh pure. Gauranga gunete jure. Gun, those are the qualities of Gauranga, the mercy. Gauranga gunete, the qualities, his mercy. Those who cry, jure, those who when they appreciate the qualities of Gauranga. Prabhupada translates that as those who appreciate the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gauranga gunete jure, nitya lila taresh pure. nitto lila tadesh pure. They can see the eternal pastimes of the Lord. Narottam Mahārāja. It's eternal, it's going on. So the family members, the topic of today is the family members. Krishna, he has a sister, and he's concerned about his sister, Subhadra. And he is changing his whole schedule and spending 3 months in Hastinapura because she's pained, having lost Abhimanyu. So Krishna says, so this is family relationships that the Lord enjoys. Actually, if you were to do a statistical analysis of Sri Jagannath Mishra's interaction with Nimai, probably the vast majority of it is he's angry with him. You could do a statistical analysis. All right, there's the he steals the Brahman's offerings. Jagannath Mishra 3 times he's chasing him, and then here on the bank of the Ganga, even in a dream. I mean, but Jagannath Mishra, it's like the same as Jasoda, who's taking a stick, and she forgets he's God. He forgets he's God. He goes to the Ganga with a stick. Where is Nimai? I'll give him a beating today. How can you do that if you think he's God? He forgets he's God. But that Jagannath Mishra, he is Nanda Baba. He's Nanda Baba. Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shutta Hoiloshe. Brajendra Nandan, the darling of the king of Braj, Brajendra Nandan Jai Shachi Shutta Hoiloshe. He has become the darling of Mother Jasoda. That Jagannath Mishra is Nanda Baba. But he forgets he's Nanda Baba. He doesn't, the Brahmins come and they make and he says, well, you know, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I appear life after life as his father. You know, this is his Leela. He doesn't say that. He gets angry. My son, even one time in a dream, an effulgent Brahmin appeared before Jagannath Mishra and said, Mishra, you know, your efforts to educate and chastise your son are useless because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jnana Samudra, an ocean of mercy. And your efforts to educate and chastise him are ridiculous. And in the dream, this is a dream. Imagine having a dream like that. Actually, there are many fascinating dreams in Gaur Bhagavad. Many dreams, fascinating dreams. There's another dream Jagannath Mishra has when he sees Nimai taking sannyas, and he's going to Jagannath Puri, and he's thousands of followers with shaven head, and he's a young boy in the home, and he has his dream. Nimai going and taking with a saffron cloth, shaven head, Advaita Thakur, Shivash Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, they're all associated, they're dancing, thousands of people are crying, rolling on the ground, love of God, and he has a dream. Imagine a dream like that. So in this dream, the Brahman is talking to him and says that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Jagannath Mishra, he answers in the dream. Mishra kohe, Deb Shiti Muni Keni Noi, Jai She Boro Hok, Matro Amarta Noi. Mishra kohe, Jagannath Mishra says that, Deb Shiti Muni Keni Noi. Yes, my son may be a siddhi, a perfected being, a muni, a great rishi, Deb, even God himself. Keni Noi, why not? Jai She Boro Hok, no matter how big he is, Jai She Boro Hok, Matro Amarta Noi. As far as I'm concerned, he's my son. And it's my responsibility to educate him. Well, this is an illusion. He's my son. Even the Brahmins say he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even in the dream and other occasions. Just like when all the Brahmins come and they make their complaints and then they go, and then Nimai is mystic potency, because in the Bal Leela he displays the mystic potency of God. E mote nana chole ai sharje dekai balla bab prakatiyo paschat lukai. E mote nana chole ai sharje dekai. He displays his opulence. Ai sharje dekai balla bab prakatiyo, as a small child. Balla bab prakatiyo paschat lukai. And later he covers that. in the Vidya Lila, up until he takes initiation, and then even Bhakti, and then he reveals himself. But in the Bal Lila, up to 5 years old, he, just like playing games, it's like playing games. He reveals his opulence. So he wants to play in the Ganga. Every day that's his Ganga Jal Kela. He enjoys that so much. And disturbing the Brahmins, they're chanting their Gayatri. He appears, spits water in their face. Who are you meditating upon? I am the incarnation of the age. He enjoys that. And then he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. Jagannath Mishra is looking, 10 Brahmins have all came and made a complaint. And Kumaris made complaints to Sachimata. So he's going to get a scolding from Jagannath Mishra. Even Sachimata says, I will scold him, I will tie him up, I won't let him go to the Ganga again. So he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. So how does he escape the scolding? He manifests his opulence as God. And he appears coming down the path looking as though he's never even been to the Ganga. His golden form with the ink blots, Vrindavan Das Thakur just says it looks like a champa flower with the bumblebees buzzing around it in 4 directions. A champa, Shonar champa in this season, Shonar champa with bumblebees. That's what he looks like, with gold anga, with the ink blots as he's walking down that path. And then he appears, and Jagannath Mishra says, what is this? Your intelligence. You don't let the Brahmins take bath properly? And he says, Baba, I haven't been to the Ganga today. And they're completely bewildered. And he says, Ma, tell Dao, give me the oil, I'll go and take bath at the Ganga. He goes to the Ganga, and then they're discussing, how is it possible? All of those Brahmins came, they were telling lies. Right? But how is it that there's no symptom that he's even been to the Ganga today? Right? Just as he's thinking like that, and then they begin to think, maybe he's a great mystic being, or maybe he's the Supreme Lord. Just as he's thinking like that, Nimai returns back from the Ganga and sees Jagannath Mishra, comes running up, climbs up on his lap and embraces Jagannath Mishra. Right? I mean, there is absolutely no indication that he has done anything wrong. He's not, am I going to get in trouble or not? He comes back, he comes running and he runs up, he climbs up on the lap and embraces Jagannath Mishra. Putra, darsh anande, guchilo bichar, shneha punno hoilo duha, kichu nahi ar. Putra, darsh anande. The bliss, the darshan anda, the bliss when he sees his son. Putra, darshan ande, guchilo bichar. He forgot everything. They forgot everything about going, hit the Ganga, the Brahmins complaining. He forgot it. He forgot when they embraced, when Sachinandan embraced him. Putra darshana neguchiro bichar shneha ponno hoilo. Shneha ponno hoilo. He became full of affection. Shneha ponno hoilo duha kichu nahi ar, and there was nothing else in their mind. So as Prabhupada says, and he says in the Purport, he says that only his devotees can play the part of his relatives. Because it's a special enjoyment, just like we sing Braja Bihari. He's Nodiya Bihari. He enjoys this family experience. He enjoys in this way. And it's not an ordinary thing. It's an ordinary thing to participate, to have that responsibility of playing a role, because he doesn't break role. It has to be a pure, eternal associate, but he's in complete illusion that my son is just an ordinary boy. This is all about relationships. What we're discussing today, relationships. And because we're in Navadip Dham, well, we're going to discuss the relationships of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Because this is Bhagavat Kotar. Because Krishna Leela Bhagavate Kohe Bed Vyas. Vyas Muni, he wrote Krishna Leela Bhagavate. And Chaitanya Leela Vyas Vrindavan Das. same Vyasa Muni, he's written the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is the Bhagavatam of Chaitanya Lila. Same author, is the same. Everything we say about Nitya Bhagavat Sevaya is Chaitanya Bhagavat is the same. And we're in Navadvip-dham. So I was reading a few days ago, I came across a verse. I was shocked. I was shocked by this verse. And having the opportunity today of this class to share with you, I can't resist sharing this with you. And it's on the topic of the family members and the relatives. Now, the verse was explaining how desires come into the heart of the Lord that weren't there before. Desires enter into the heart of the Lord that weren't there before. Just like we have desires that come into our heart. And desires, we'll discuss that but let's discuss this incident. That Gore Sarva-shastra Prabhu Bhujya Shamahito. At home, he had already Sarva-shastra Bhujya, understood all of the scriptures at home. It's described that Jagannath Mishra taught Nimai the Bangla letters, the Bangla alphabet, and the pronunciation, and all the Nādhayo Bhashis were completely enchanted, listening to Gauranga say ka, ka, ga, ga, as he was learning the Bengali ka, ka, ga, ga. Would you like to see that sometime, little Nimai, learning Bengali alphabet, ka, ka, ga, ga? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, would you like to see that? It's also going on at the moment in Navadvip, Nitya Lila. So, and then it mentions it within a few days he had learned all the alphabet. I mean, the Bengali alphabet. I haven't learned all the letters in Bengali alphabet in 20 years. In a few days, he'd learn everything, and he would spontaneously. He was learning the grammar by writing the names of Krishna, Banamali, Murari, Gopal, Govinda. He was writing, and no one even encouraged him to do that. He was just writing the names of Krishna in the beginning. So, Gore, Sarva-shastra Bhujya Shamihito. He had already understood all of the conclusions of the Shastra at home. Goshti Madde Prabhu Porite Hoilo Chitto. However, at that time, Goshti Majje means in a company of others. Goshti Majje Prabhu Porite Hoilo Chitta. Porite means to study. Goshti Majje Porite. Prabhu Hoilo Chitta. Hoilo Chitta means a desire appeared in his heart. Hoilo Chitta. A desire appeared in his heart. There's no description prior to that anywhere where Vrindavan Das Thakur says that he desired to associate with others and study. There's no mention. He wasn't desiring that. He wasn't desiring that. And now it appears spontaneously. Goshti Majje Prabhu Porite Hoilo Chitta. A desire awakened in his heart that wasn't there before. Now that's fascinating, right? That's fascinating. I mean, where did the desire come from if he's already Purnam? Om Purnam. He's complete. So where did that desire come from? Where did that desire come from? I mean, with us, desires come from association. Our desires come from association. Jayato bishayang pongshang. Shangashteshu upajayate, shanga shanjayate kama. Dayato, the senses, all of these things. So that's the thing about, the internet experience and the world that we have today, that we deal with it, but so many materialistic things will run through our consciousness. I mean, sometimes I look at the news, the BBC, but all of a sudden you don't realize, and you see something and you just get swept away. And you click on it and something, a desire, you have a desire, urge, click on that. Oh, what's that? That's how the news is designed, to actually entice you. It's not really news. It's entertainment. It's mental satisfaction, and desires are posted into the mind. I mean, the Facebook, you're nothing, and then you look through it, and then boom, 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 like seeds that are planted, and boom, so many desires. Daiva-bhūtātma-hetavaḥ teshu upajayate. They're born from the association. Shangash teshu upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. And then desires are manifest. Therefore, Narottam Thakur Mahārāja, he says that Tādera charana shebi bhakta shanebash janame hoy ei abhilash. That even life is not even so important for me to even go back to Godhead. Janame hoy, life after life. Bhakta shanebash. Shane means shanga. Bhakta shanebash. I want to associate with devotees. I want to have association of devotees. Which devotees? Tādera charana shebi bhakta shan. Tādera charana shebi. Those who are the servants of the 6 Goswamis. Tādera charana shebi bhakta shanebash. To associate with the servants of the 6 Goswamis. Janame hoy ei abhilash. I desire this life after life. Because if we associate with the servants of the Goswamis, then we will develop desires like them. So generally we develop desire by association. Prabhupada says if you associate with a drunkard, you become a drunkard. Right? So that's how we get desires, and therefore that's called victim in the material world. Victim. You come here, it's called Sharidar Abhijajal. Sharidar Abhijajal. We chant this every day. Hardly we meditate on the meaning. It's very serious. Generally, we're all we're saying my body is a network of ignorance. Jodendriya, the material senses, tarikal, they're the enemies. We don't really meditate on what we're singing. My material senses are the enemies. Jibe pele bishoy shagor. The ocean of materialism, jibe fele, they are throwing me. These senses are throwing me into the ocean of it. Jibe pele bishoy shagore, jibe pele bishoy shagore. Taramodde jiba oti lobhamoy. Amongst them, the tongue is oti lobhamoy, very greedy. Oti lobhamoy. Taki jeta koti na shangshay, very difficult to conquer in this world. So we victimize, we're punished. It's bodhajiv. We're bound up. And we're victimized. And these desires, they come. Apurjamanam achala pratishtam shamudram apa pravishanti tadvat. Just like the rivers flow into the ocean. Tadvat, in the same way, kamayam pravishanti sharve. Desires flow into the heart. Shishanti maapnoti nakama kami. And trying to fulfill those, you'll never get peace. But not trying to fulfill those is the only path of peace. So in Krishna consciousness, we're trained how to deal with this onslaught of desire. How do we deal with it? We have to replace. Because desire, just like we're showing the example, a desire appeared, it erupted. That verse was just completely enchanting to me when I read that verse. That Goshti Majay Prabhu Porite Hoilu Chitto, a desire awakened in his heart to study in the association of others. So that's our nature. So desires will always come. Desires enter into the heart of the Lord that weren't there before. What's the question that happens in the Lord? What's the question of us who are parts and parcel? Desires will always be coming in our heart. Always. It's not that we will ever become desireless. So we have to surround ourselves in a situation where the contemplation, the association will cause us to desire to please Krishna. Anukulena Krishna anushilanam bhaktir uttam. To desire to please Krishna. And then we can embrace that, we absorb it, we accept that desire in the heart. We embrace, we accept, we imbibe, and fill our minds, fill our heart with that desire. And in that way we revive our purity, our constitutional identity, and then such troublesome desires, there won't be any place for them. So the family members, the Lord desires to enjoy the family experiences. He desires to enjoy. When Vishwarup took sannyas, Sachinandan fell unconscious. Sachinandan fell unconscious. And Jagannath Mishra, Jagannath Mishra, what was that? A mote jnana yogi Mishra Mahadir alpa chitta britti korelen shtir. When Vishwarup took sannyas, Jagannath Mishra was so. This is all the leela. Why is Vishwarup taking sannyas? Why is it causing so much pain to Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata? It's not something coincidental that just happened to happen. Well, this is all the pastimes. This is the stage. That Jagannath Mishra becomes completely pained. And Vrindavandas Thakur says that a mote jnana joge, Mishra Mahadir, jnana joge, he applies jnana, jnana yoga, alpa chitta britti korilen shtir, and he was able to control his chitta britti. Chitta britti means the fluctuation of the heart, the same thing, the heart erupting with thoughts and desires. He was able to control that, alpa, little by little. Chitta britti, korilen shtir. He was able to bring that under control. Okay. Now, Jagannath Mishra, he's Nanda Baba. He doesn't have to bring anything under control. He's Nanda Baba. Whatever he does is perfect. He's passed all that, no tests. He's playing on the stage, whatever he does. Sometimes on the stage, the good actors, they even go, they break from the script. They break from the script. You know, that happens a lot. But they're so absorbed in the character, they just play professional actors. So it's like that. Jagannath Mishra, he has his own creativity. So he gets into, he's having mental trouble. Probably, if it was us, we'd seek help from a counselor. Yes. He's like us. Yes. He's troubled. Jagannath Mishra. He's troubled. And this is affecting Sachinandan. Sachinandan is seeing this. And so he stops his mischievous play, and he spends all the time at home with Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. That I'm here, you know, and to help them overcome the pain of Vishwarup's departure. I'm just reading again and again this line in the Purport, just because you think I'm going off the track. This is exactly the point. Only the devotees can play the part of his relatives. Jagannath Mishra is in need of counseling, almost, due to the pain of Vishwarup sannyas. And Sachinandan counsels. He changes his behavior. He's frivolous, he's playing all the time. The Ganga, we don't hear any more disturbing the Brahmins at the Ganga. He's there all the time. And then, can you believe it, a short time later, Jagannath Mishra leaves the world. I mean, that's why we say, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan Gaudhari. Why we say Jai Sachinandan? Because he wants to be Sachinandan. And he arranges everything, that he becomes everything for Mother Sachi. He arranges everything, that he becomes everything for Sachimata. And Vishwarup takes sannyas. How painful is that? I mean, actually, Sachimata had 8 other children. It's not often described, but they all passed away. That's another incident. But Vishwarup left. And then all they had was Nimai. And then Jagannath Mishra left the world. There's Jai Sachinandan. It's not just nice in the Kirtan, Jai Sachinandan. He wants Sachimata to be completely absorbed in him. Jai Sachinanda. And then when Vishwarup took, when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and he was by the arrangement of Nityananda Prabhu, he went to Shantipur, and then they brought Sachimata on a palanquin. They brought Sachimata on a palanquin to Shantipur, and then she came, and Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who had taken sannyas. When Sachimata, she sees him, Gauranga, he falls down at the feet of Sachimata. She picks him up on her lap. Her tears are profusely, completely drenching his Gauranga, his golden form, his shaven head. You imagine she's seeing for the first time his shaven head, the long black curly hair, as he would be dancing in the kirtan, Nitai Goshai together. A shikaniya shabnadi ifiche neche go Nitai Radha Krishna bol bol bolade shabai. Like we're worshipping Gauranga, Nityananda, in the Dvijamani Navadip Chandra, the prince of Navadip. We're worshipping Navadip Chandra, the prince of Navadip, long hair. We're not worshipping in the form of a Shannashi. We're worshipping Navadip Chandra, the prince of long, beautiful hair. He's dancing. Tatai tatai bhajalo kol, gana gana tahi jajira ro, the tapping of the mridanga, the ringing of the kartals, preme dala dala shonada anga, chodane nupura bhaje, preme dala dala shonada anga. His golden form is quivering, preme dala dala, quivering with the prem, shonada anga, chodane nupura bhaje, chodane around his ankles, nupura bhaje. The ankle bells are chiming. Mukunda madhava vyādhayaḥ hari bolena bodode vadana bodi ching 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 as he's walking through the villages of Nadia. The sannyasi is not wearing the nupur, but we're worshipping Navadip Chandra. And this is and then Navadip Chandra, Sachimata, has that relationship, and then he appears as a sannyasi. This is the family members, and I'm just reading this line again and again. Only his devotees can play the part of his relatives. And Sachimata, when he came, and he fell down at her feet, and she takes him on her lap, and she's pouring tears, and she looks and she says, "Do not do like Vishwarup. Do not do like Vishwarup." So the family members, they play such an important role. They're on the stage. Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, Vishwarup, these special relationships. They're all there simply fulfilling the desires of the Supreme Lord Gauranga Sri Hari to enjoy pastimes with devotees. I mean, he's like, it's not just somehow or other getting food into the belly. He is an exquisite cook. And he's creating such tasty items for relishing Bhakti Rash with his Shuddha, with Antaranga Bhaktagan, with his internal associates. And family members, and also the dear associates, just like we began discussing today, that this desire, it arose, it awakened in his heart to study in the association of others. He had the desire. Why? Because he is Dvijamani. He's the jewel, the mani, Dvija, of the Navadip Brahmins. So in that society of the Navadip Brahmins, his glory of the Navadip Brahmins, his glories as Nimai Pandit are manifest, are projected as the stage. So he has a desire not to be alone but to go and accept a teacher. And who does he accept as a teacher? Navadipa Yache Ekjon Adapok Shiromani, the crest jewel of all of the Vedic teachers in Navadip. Shandipani Muni, Gangadas Pandit. Who Vyakaran Shastra Ekanta Tattubit. Vyakaran Shastra, the Sanskrit grammar. Vyakaran Shastra Ekanta Tattubit. He is at the limit of all you can know about the truths of Sanskrit grammar. That's the teacher he accepts. It's not that he just, somebody on the corner, some convenient, we'll just find any convenient teacher. No, he gets the Navadip Adhyapok Shiromani, the crest jewel of all of the teachers in Navadip. And what sort of a relationship does he have with his guru, with his teacher? Joto Bako Gangadas Pandit Koren Shukrit Shunile Matro Thakur Doren. Whatever, Joto Bako, whatever Gangadas Pandit says, Joto Bako Gangadas Pandit Koren Shukrit Shunile Matro. Hearing it one time only, Thakur Doren, he remembers. Whatever his teacher said, hearing it one time, he remembers. So, he's not just going to have an ordinary teacher. If he's going to remember everything he says, Joto Bhakko Pandit, Gangadash Pandit Koren, whatever he says, Shunile, Shukrit Shunile Matro, hearing it one time, Thakur Doren, he remembers. It's like a theme, a quality that's like thematic. It's described here. When he first begins studies, whatever the teacher said, he remembers. And then he bestows upon him the title, Shalra Shishya Shrestha. And he has Sahasra Shishras, thousands and thousands of students. And then that same quality manifests time and time again, later when he's defeating Digvijay. And he recites 100 verses. And just without repeating any of them, just one time reciting 100 verses. And then Nimai Pandit, he right not the beginning or not the end, not the last verse, somewhere in the middle. It was the 50th, 56th something verse. 50, and he recites it. And the Pandit Keshav astounded. How can you remember that? Just as one is gifted with the potency to compose beautiful poetry and recite it like the flowing Ganga. So similar by mercy of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, others by the mercy of the Supreme Lord have the capacity to, upon hearing something once, never forget it. So how can you enjoy that opulence if you're not in the association of others? You need a teacher, and the topmost teacher. You need students, and it mentions Murari Gupta, Krishna Ananda, Kamalakanta, Pradhan, with the young boys, Murari Gupta. We go to the house of Murari Gupta. From the time Nimai was 4 or 5 years old, he had a relationship with Murari Gupta, Hanuman Prakash. So in the same way, to be Subhadra here in Hastinapura, I mean, Krishna's sister, is so special. And we see Krishna here showing kindness to his sister and to Yudhiṣṭhira. Yudhiṣṭhira requested, don't go. And he is obliged. He's obliged. He enjoys that relationship with Yudhiṣṭhira. And with Subhadra, there seems to be no request that he stays, but he proactively, he's sensitive to the heart and the condition of Subhadra. And so he makes a decision, I'll stay in Hastinapur for 3 months more, to enjoy Bhakti Rosh with his family members. Is there any question? Yes.
So it says that only devotees can be their relatives, yeah? But the brahmanas who were swimming in the Ganga, they're not his relatives,
Yeah.
they're just devotees. And also his disciples are not his relatives.
Yeah.
However, he has such a close relationship with them.
How was?
He has such a close relationship with them.
Well,
almost like
we
with
all
the
have that
relatives.
relationship. We all have that relationship. Yeah. And we all have relationship. Same. We're all eligible to that intimacy. So some of the devotees are playing a role as family member. That's their seva. And others are playing role as student or as the Brahmins taking bath. And similarly, we have a role. Jai, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveda Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki jai.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
One more, please. What about Chota Haridas? It pains my heart how he handled Chota Haridas.
Well, that's to teach a lesson. That's to teach a lesson for the
That's
renunciates.
one very, very difficult lesson
Yeah.
to...
Well, Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi, is different mood. Mahaprabhu is sannyasi, different mood. I mean, many things. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.